So a lot of difficulty, a lot of work in production. So the old crew was, you said Sika Murdy?
And then the woman that did the coloring, redid the recoloring, was Lisa Richards.
And they did issues 1 through
2, 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
And then Sika did 3, 4, and 5, and Lisa found us Paige Camburn. We used her for 3, 4, 5, and then Paige helped us find Rachel and Nina.
Okay, so that's
Rachel's the artist,
right? So the old crew, I see. So you had a couple different colorists on the old.
Yeah, the nice thing was that Lisa set up a color guide that Paige also used, and that Nina's also using. So there's at least a consistency of what their color is, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was very detailed and it was really cool to look at. But,
yeah. So I know we haven't seen it yet; it hasn't been published yet. But who's talk about the new crew a little bit?
We have Rachel Wells, who does the artwork, and again, we found her through a SCAD network of people. She was the best of the group that we had, and her style is a little different take on the characters than what we had originally, which I think is closer maybe to what I know Paul wanted to have, as I say, this sort of Western anime.
Right.
And I think she probably draws a little closer to that. They're a little more distinctive. The characters stand out a little bit more from each other.
Yeah.
And because, like, you know, the friends, Kirby, Steve, and Don, well, Don's black, but Kirby and Steve can sort of look very interchangeable.
A little yeah, right.
And so she sort of made them a little more distinctive. Nina has done a really nice job of, you know, making it kind of using the color guide, but also making it kind of her own.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a very kind of exciting to see it sort of maybe a little, you know, juice put into it.
Right. You say so. Rachel does when you say does the art, we're talking about pencils and inks.
Yes, she has pencils and inks.
Very good.
And also the thumbnails. So it's a really good process, and we started issue 6 in January, and she's now on issue 7. And some of that is because you know, it's all out of pocket for me, so I'm trying to manage the output to a certain degree. So it's only 8 pages a month, and all that. So, you know, some of that maybe could be further along if money was no object. But,
right. Yeah, you're right. I would think that probably they're working on a lot of stuff at the time.
Yeah, and they invoice me, and I pay them, and but I imagine that they're doing other projects or other jobs. They may be like I do and have a day job.
Sure. So there's 2 issues out right now.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. How many issues have been produced to date?
Well, 5 have been produced. 6 were waiting on 4 pages from the colorist, and then it needs to be lettered. And then 7 we just sort of started.
Oh, I see. How long does it routinely, give me a ballpark on how long it takes you to do the script for an issue?
Well, since these were already kind of written, it's been like a couple of weeks to sort of go back through it and mark it up, and then rewrite it and have Paul look at it and mark it up, and Trevor actually mark it up as well. And I'm trying to use, I'm not that age, so I'm trying to use them as sort of a, with this, does this sound reasonable? And they've come up with some ideas that we'll be getting to in future issues. And these were all basically things that we all discussed in the beginning anyway. So it's, I'm just the one that's actually putting it down on paper.
I see. So 1 and 2 are right now available where? Comixology online?
Comixology.
Right. And so yeah, it's got to be sort of frustrating. You were saying before about you haven't actually had phone conversations with him. That's got to present its own problems, right?
Yeah, I think they would be probably more. It's just they're both back east. And so they might send something, and we may not look at it until 9 o'clock at our time. I don't think they want us to call them necessarily at midnight. They might be up and doing stuff, but I don't want to take that, I don't want to interfere with their personal life too much. So it just hasn't come up yet. I think we could talk to them. They've been very good about asking a lot of questions. If they, we always ask, if you have any questions or comments, let us know, and they do.
Right.
Back with how about this, and and then we give feedback, and we try to give examples of something if we're not getting quite what we're looking for. How about this? So we just recently took a picture of Paul holding some cards because that's part of the game. That's part of the story, not necessarily Marty holding the cards, but just how the cards are held.
Oh, I see.
As an example.
Uh-huh.
That kind of stuff.
So issue 1, pretty much, I like the way it starts out with action, and then it rolls back to 2 weeks before, and it gives you the background. So I feel like issue 1, and you correct me if I'm wrong, issue 1 is pretty much meeting the whole gang and.
Yeah, it's kind of in some ways like a sitcom where you meet everybody, and they're not all going to be necessarily prominent in every story, but now you've sort of have met, everybody. Yeah, in the first issue you do meet everybody that is going to be a prominent role further on down the road too.
Right. So issues 3, 4, and 5 haven't come out yet, but where's the story arc going from there?
Well, in 3, 4, and 5, the boys ended up actually kind of using their powers for good, sort of accidentally in a way. Marty's on his way to class, and he sees that somebody is robbing a delivery truck, and so he intercedes because he feels like he should.
Mm-hmm.
Then Eli wants to talk to Jennifer, and Marty's sort of saying, well, you guys have a class at night together. Why don't you, talk to her after class? And so he waits for her, and then she is almost kidnapped. And so he's because he's shy, he's already invisible, and he sees what's going on. He sort of makes himself visible and scares the guys away, because it's so this guy comes out of nowhere, and then he sort of disappears, and Jennifer gets the sense that there's something, but she doesn't actually see anybody.
Right.
And so she figures out later that he did save her, and she's very appreciative of that, but she doesn't know that he was invisible and all that sort of stuff, and so she doesn't really understand that.
Yeah, and the whole time Dr. Atlas and the rest of that covert crew, they're still on the case though. They're still trying to get the boys to synthesize their blood. And
yeah, in this case, in 3, 4, and 5, it's a guy named Dr. Brubaker and his assistant who are there to try to carry on the work of Dr. Atlas, and they think Dr. Atlas might be dead because of what happens in issue 2.
Right.
And so they're trying to carry on his work, for science, if nothing else. And so they try to sort of trap the boys into, taking their blood again and stuff, and they have to sort of fight back.
So without giving away too much, give me an idea of some future storylines. Do you have any one-shots in mind, anything like that?
Right now, the story that we're doing now is sort of focused a little more on Kirby. He used to be kind of the ringleader of Steve and Don looked up to him, and he dated Jennifer, and now suddenly the boys are sort of becoming, suddenly they've got some, because people know they had stopped one of them had stopped a robbery, and one of them had saved a girl. They're suddenly heroes on campus, and so he feels diminished. And so Dr. Jordan sort of plays on that, and I can make you be what you should be, which is exceptional. And so he's sort of is trying to get him to sort of develop this verbus compound in himself, and the boys have to sort of intercede and stop that. We have future ideas where we have one of them is sort of a Professor Theorem, who is a math teacher that can move between the Napoleon theorem, which is sort of this design I saw of a theory, and she can move to that image into another whiteboard that has that image on it, so she can move that way, and so she can gain entry into Jennifer's house because she's her tutor. She draws this thing on her whiteboard, and so she can come into the house without anybody knowing she's there, and that's one of the future stories.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is a character we haven't met yet, though,
we have
right?
not met yet.
There's a couple other characters we haven't met also, right?
There's a little there's a boy that we see in issue number 1 lifting a car off of his mother, sort of like action Comics.
Yeah, one.
And,
yeah.
everybody goes back to that image, and we see him later as an adult. He's grown up, and he has his own kind of magical creature who's Raven, who's a bird, but she kind of is shepherding his, and she and Mocha have their own little tiff, their own backstory that they get into. We've thought about a one shot of actually how that when the boys actually meet Mocha, what's that situation? What happened? Why is Mocha there? And what's leading up to that situation? Why does she grant them these powers out of the? It's a lot to give somebody. Thank you. You grant them powers is a big deal.
Yeah.
But there's more of a reason why she's doing that.
Right.
We have an idea of I think it's called the Atmos, where it's sort of the boys meet a couple of guys who have already been sort of this super soldier kind of thing, kind of a little Bill and Ted-ish kind of guys, and they have to sort of deal with them. And there's just there are other we have an imposter guy, somebody that kind of can use powers to sort of be like Marty, get Marty in sort of trouble at school, and so we have a lot of different places we can go with this story.
And how can fans follow Power Squared on social media?
Well, we have a website, powersquaredcomicbook.com. We have a Instagram account, Power Squared Comic Book. We have a Twitter account, which is Marty and Eli. So it's at Marty and Eli. And we have a Facebook page, which is for Power Squared Comic Book.
Okay, we'll see you there. Thanks so much for sharing your time and ideas with us, David.
Oh, thank you.